Right now, the rush to reach 270 electoral votes. We're tracking the latest on the presidential election as we wait for results from key battleground states.
Plus, we're looking at the election here in Wisconsin, where a razor-thin margin has the race too close to call.
This is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks. It is Wednesday, November 4th. We are waking up after Election Day, as expected, still awaiting results here in Wisconsin and across the country.
Ballots are still being counted this morning in several battleground states. Too close to call. That is the word from the Associated Press for the presidential race in Wisconsin. Former Vice President Joe Biden barely in the lead here by just about 8,000 votes. That's out of more than 3.2 million cast, and there are still a few thousand other votes to be counted.
Wisconsin, meanwhile, still on the table for both candidates this morning, and votes are just coming in from several cities, which could ultimately decide which way the state swings. We've been tracking the county breakdown all night here. Milwaukee County was tabbed as one of the places to watch, and those results have just come in the last hour. You can see Joe Biden with the advantage there, picking up a larger percentage of the vote than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. Voters in Brown County could still help the president secure the state, however. Exit polls there show non-college educated white voters largely. That demographic makes up a significant number of voters in Brown, which is still getting some results in. This is a look at where those numbers stand right now. All results are in for Dane County this morning and have been for a while. They submitted all of their results before 1 this morning. As expected, Dane County went for Joe Biden, but an added voter turnout could help him win the state. Biden picked up 40,000 more votes here in Dane County compared to Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Those extra votes could help Biden offset any potential gains the president could earn elsewhere in the state.
Besides Wisconsin, there are several states still on the table for both candidates. Winners have still not been called in Michigan and Pennsylvania. Both are major swing states that President Trump claimed victory in during his first election. Those two states make up 36 electoral votes and will put either candidate in a good spot to win. Also still up for grabs, Georgia and North Carolina. The Biden campaign is hoping to flip the two traditionally red states. Georgia hasn't gone blue since 1992. North Carolina last went to a Democrat in 2008. Those states have a combined 31 electoral college votes. Definitely a lot to be decided, so we wanted to bring in UW professor Mike Wagner to help us make sense of where we are now.
Good morning, Professor Wagner. How are you doing this morning?
I'm tired, but you know, let's talk.
Yeah, we can relate. Okay, so we are talking 8,000 votes. It's a razor-thin margin here in Wisconsin. You know,
Yes.
We're waiting specifically on Brown County, the city of Green Bay. What exactly is each candidate hoping for here? Where are they going to find votes there?
Well, yeah, I think it's not surprising that both candidates are hoping that they gain more there, right? So I mean, right now the lead is very thin for Joe Biden. I think Kenosha might also still be at least the city of, and then Green Bay are the places that, to my knowledge, we're still waiting for results for. It's an incredibly thin margin. Wisconsin law does not automatically put a recount in, but if it's within 1%, a candidate can request one. And right now, the results are within 1%.
What was the biggest surprise for you for the night?
Well, so far, I would say the biggest surprise is how close the battleground states are. Really, nobody's won a state or lost a state that's been surprising. What's surprising is that Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania are all much closer than the polling seemed to indicate. And so there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. And so that's what's surprising so far. There are multiple paths for Vice President Biden. He could end up with upwards of 320 electoral votes, but President Trump could end up with 284. And so both of those numbers are winning numbers, and there's a lot of options in between as well. And so it could be a little while before we know for sure what happened.
I'm curious of your thoughts on the greater Midwest, the so-called blue wall. What do you think? Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, all still too close to call right now.
They are all too close to call. Biden has made gains from 2016 and Hillary Clinton's performance. Whether that's enough is something that we will not know until all of the votes are counted. And Wisconsin and Pennsylvania especially are states that are going to be counting more slowly. Pennsylvania especially because of the rules they have about counting early and absentee ballots there. And so it's just going to take some time, and we'll have to count all of the ballots and wait until those counts are done before we confidently declare what's happened.
Yeah. Now, some of the swing states in the southeast, Georgia, North Carolina, those are leaning Trump right now. But those early ballots haven't really been tallied right now. What do you make of where those states stand right now? Those could be really crucial.
Joe Biden would love to give the city of Atlanta a big hug, and if Biden ends up coming from behind in the way of looking at the current count, I mean the votes have all been cast, we're just counting, but if Biden ends up victorious in Georgia, it would be because of the counting that's still happening in Fulton County there, and it's a possibility for him to come back. And in North Carolina, they can accept mail-in ballots, I think, until November 12th. So if it comes down to North Carolina, we could be waiting for several days.
Lots of things changing by the minute, especially here in Wisconsin. Mike, we're going to check back in with you in about half an hour.
Sounds good.
Now, though we don't have results from the presidential election, nothing is official at this point. There are several key elections in Wisconsin we are able to call this morning.
Let's start with Wisconsin's 1st Congressional District. Incumbent Republican Brian Stile will keep his seat, covering cities like Racine, Kenosha, and Janesville, along with some Milwaukee County suburbs. He beat Democratic challenger Roger Pollack. This is the seat formerly held by Paul Ryan.
Democratic incumbent Mark Pocan also will keep his seat in the House for his 5th term, representing the 2nd Congressional District, covering Madison and the surrounding region of south central Wisconsin. That includes Greene, Iowa, Lafayette, Sauk, and parts of Richland and Rock counties. He beats the challenging Republican Peter Theron. This was his 3rd time challenging Pocan for the seat. Another Wisconsin Democrat in Congress facing a stiffer challenge. Ron Kind has represented the 3rd District out in western Wisconsin for more than 20 years. 12 terms he served, but he is facing a close race against retired Navy SEAL Derek Van Orden. That race has yet to be called as of this morning.
And in the 5th, covering the suburbs of Milwaukee to the border of Dane, Republican Scott Fitzgerald will step in to replace longtime Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner. The Republican from Menominee Falls is retiring this year. Fitzgerald is a longtime politician and state Senate Majority Leader.
Now, we have results to break down for you yet this morning, but first, let's turn to Hattie McLean, keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Ada. Hattie?
Just focus on this week.
I agree. It looks fantastic. Thanks, Hattie. 6:09, Josh mentioned a little while ago that election officials in Dane County saying things went pretty smoothly here.
Yeah, both the county and Madison City Clerk are reporting huge turnouts. Taylor Lazenby live from the City County building right now with more on those numbers. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, guys. That's right. Good morning. We've been tracking those election results all morning and through the night. Now, joining me now talking with the Madison City Clerk is Mary Beth Witzel-Bale. How are you this morning?
Okay.
Good. So just talking about just final voter turnout in Dane County, what have we seen so far?
Well, for the city of Madison, yesterday we had 84.7% turnout, which was 161,836 voters.
Wow. So then when we look at that, what comes next when it's looking at clarifying some of these results?
There are 45 voters who cast provisional ballots, and so those ballots might still be counted. So tomorrow, the Dane County Board of Canvassers meets to start going through all the results. Then on Friday, the City Board of Canvassers will meet to count those provisionals if the voters provide ID. And then the results go back to the county. And the county will then finish going through everything next week and hand everything over to the state, which will finalize the certification.
Perfect. And then, so Mary Beth, what changes, if any, would you make from seeing what happened yesterday, preparing us for the future?
I'm sure there will be changes. When the Board of Canvassers meets, we will go over all the paperwork from yesterday to identify areas for improvement and then work on improving those areas.
Perfect. Well, Mary Beth, thank you so much, and we appreciate you speaking with us this morning. We're going to talk a little bit more about the voting results that we're seeing here in Dane County coming up. Reporting live in downtown Madison, Taylor Lazenby, News 3 Now.
Thanks, Taylor. We've got some more results for you right now for the state legislature. First, in State Assembly District 76, representing downtown Madison at the state capitol, restaurant owner Francesca Hong wins this seat with 88% of the vote. She'll take over the seat that was vacated when former Representative Chris Taylor was named a Dane County Circuit Court judge. In District 79, representing the Middleton Cross Plains and Wanakee area, Democrat incumbent Diane Hesselbein will keep her seat in the Assembly. She beat out Republican Victoria Fugger with more than 2/3 of the vote.
In District 80, representing parts of Verona, Mount Horeb, and New Glarus, another incumbent comes out on top. Democrat Sondy Pope defeated Republican Chase Binney with just about 65% of the vote.
Democrat Melissa Sargent will also be switching chambers. Currently a member of the Assembly, she wins the race for the Senate in District 16, representing much of the Madison area. She beat Republican Scott Barker with more than 73% of the vote. Coming up, we continue to track the latest numbers in the presidential election. Which candidate is tracking ahead here in Wisconsin?
Stay with us. Your post-election day coverage continues right after this.
We're back at 5:15 on this Wednesday. Let's take a look right now at the latest in the presidential election this morning. The latest tally from CBS shows Joe Biden in the lead currently with 224 electoral votes. President Donald Trump trailing just slightly with 213. A reminder, you need 270 electoral college votes to win the presidency. Overnight, the Associated Press is calling 3 states to go to Biden: Hawaii, Maine, and Arizona, which Biden flipped blue for the first time since 1992. The president is maintaining a stronghold in that state, in that the states that were key to his win back in 2016, most notably the highest contested Florida and Ohio.
As we continue to wait for a winner, we're hearing from both candidates overnight. The first comments come from Joe Biden. He was addressing a drive-in crowd in his home state in Delaware last night. Biden said he feels good about how the votes are coming in and where his campaign stands. He said the most important thing from here on out, patience.
Patience is commendable. We knew this was going to go long, but who knew we're going to go into maybe tomorrow morning, maybe even longer.
Biden says he does plan to make statements again later today, but did not specify when. He added it's not his place or President Trump's to declare who won the election. President Trump, meanwhile, says he's getting ready for a legal battle over the results. Early this morning, the president said he would take ballots to the Supreme Court if the race doesn't go his way. It's unclear which states or municipalities would be targeted. Without evidence, the president has said extended deadlines to count mail-in ballots would lead to fraud. He continued that unsubstantiated argument while addressing supporters early this morning.
We're also keeping a close eye on the race to secure the Senate majority this morning. Right now, Republicans are holding a slight lead over Democrats. 47 seats to the Dems, 46, but 35 seats are still up for grabs. Before this election, Republicans held a strong majority in the Senate, 53 to 47. We've already seen a few seats flip in favor of the Democrats. Former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper beating out incumbent Republican senator there. The Democrats are also taking a Senate seat from Republicans in Arizona, with former astronaut Mark Kelly winning his election. Republicans flipping a seat as well, taking Alabama's incumbent Democrat Doug Jones out of the Senate, replacing him with Tommy Tuberville. As I just mentioned, there are still several Senate races still open. I'll have updates on the race to control the branch of Congress coming up here in the next few minutes.
Now, 2 prominent Republican senators won their bids for re-election overnight. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell won in Kentucky to serve another 6 years at the Capitol, as did Senator Lindsey Graham. New Jersey Democrat Cory Booker will also keep his seat in the Senate. And a first for state senates across the country, Sarah McBride is claiming victory in the Delaware state senate race. That makes her the country's first openly transgender state senator. She tweeted her gratitude for the win overnight. All right, 6:18 now. Hattie is out on her patio with a check on our weather. How's it looking out there, Hads?
For that, thanks, Hattie. 6:19 right now. It is a good morning for Madison schools. 2 referendum questions passed with overwhelming support. More than 75% voted for plans totaling $350 million. The first will spend $317 million on building projects, including improvements to all 4 main high schools, and it would add a new elementary school. Construction on those renovation projects in the new school are planned to wrap up in 2024. The capital referendum would cost the average property owner about $140 per year for the next 22 years. The second referendum will allow MMSD to surpass the state-imposed revenue limits at an increasing amount each year for the next 4 years, totaling $33 million. In total, it'll break down $6 million, $8 million, $9 million, and $10 million. This would cover yearly costs for programming and staff. Exactly how those funds would be spent will be part of the district's annual budget process, with the school board giving final approval. Coming up at 6:45 here in 25 minutes, we'll be talking with the MMSD superintendent, Dr. Carlton Jenkins, to discuss these new referendums and their plans for the next 4 years.
School districts in Rock County also happy this morning with 3 referenda passing. Let's take a look. Voters said yes to 2 questions in Janesville, giving the district $22.5 million for building projects. As a result, Janesville residents will see about a $5 increase per $100,000 of property value every year until the debt is paid off. That'll take about 20 years to do. The second referendum in Janesville allows the district to exceed levy limits by $37 million over 4 years. That will help them counter declining enrollment and state aid. Initial estimates say taxes will increase by about $40 per $100,000 of property value over the next 4 years. And finally, $32 million will go to Blackhawk Technical College for a number of building projects on its campus. Bonds from the project will be paid over a 20-year period of time. The annual impact to taxpayers here, about $3 per $100,000 in property value.
All right, 6:21. We still have much more ahead this morning as we continue to track the latest results here and across the country. Your post-election day coverage continues next.
And coming up in our next half hour, the Postal Service ignoring a court order, why it may have kept some ballots from getting in on time. Stay with us.
All right, we're back at 6:25, and we want to get right away to some new developments. Joe Biden grows his lead in Wisconsin. The race still too close to call, but right now the former VP is up by about 20,000 votes here. There are only 2 precincts not reporting at this hour. Again, Joe Biden is up by about 20,000 votes. To follow the latest on the election, we'll bring you another update here in the next 5 minutes.
Another election update this half hour. Voters in 3 states are choosing to move forward with recreational marijuana.
That's right. New Jersey, Arizona, and South Dakota just approved ballot measures. They join 11 other states and the District of Columbia. Now that makes marijuana legal at a recreational level in nearly 30% of the country. 28 other states have taken measures to either decriminalize the drug or make it medically legal. Only 8 states, including Wisconsin, have no such laws.
6:25 now. Stay with us. Our election coverage continues after the break.